Gentlemen, all of you beautiful people out there, once again, on the flank is back. You guys already know who I am, the one and only Velly. But Colin, let them know who you are. It's good to wait, Colin. It's good to have you back, man.
I had to take care of some business last week, ladies and gentlemen, but it is
It was
unbelievably great to
weird
be
last
back.
week.
It felt a little weird for me, trust me. It felt last Monday won't good. Last Monday won't good, but we ain't gonna focus on last Monday. We gonna focus right here and now on this Monday and how glorious of a Monday it will be because we have a champion with us. Not a 3-time, not a 4-time, not a 5-time, but a 6-time champion, baby. Like Michael Jordan in the building. Good Lord, J
What's
Rib
going on? What's going on, baby?
again.
Yeah, the beautiful ribs from Ghost Gaming Ribs, man. Thanks for coming by. The reason why I hit you up to come on this show is that I know you're an avid viewer of Gears. You know what you're talking about. You've been there before. You won multiple times for a reason. You're the only player outside of OpTic Gaming that won more than one event with different teams. Is actually crazy. But yeah, you're actually the only player outside of OpTic that. All right, what I'm thinking actually is stupid. So never mind, forget that. But it's good to have you here, Ribs. But I want to thank UGC for obviously hosting on the flank. Also, I want to thank G Fuel for supporting the cause and hooking Colin and I up with a ton of G Fuel goodies. So we're always thankful for that. And Tone, let's go ahead and get into the first topic of the day. I actually saw a tweet this morning that actually it hit home because it not only relates to what's going on in Halo, but it relates to what's going on in Gears of War. And Jordan, let me know if this sounds right. Snakebite. He said, we need to be better about stressing to new players how important it is to love the process of competing. If you don't love the process of improvement and working on your craft, your overall happiness will be determined by an end result that unfortunately may never be reached. And what he's ultimately saying is that if you guys are putting these teams together, semi-pro, amateur level, and your end goal is to get on and beat everybody you go against, you're gonna fail every single time. You're not gonna be happy because of it. Because Jordan, when you were grinding from the bottom to get to the top, I mean, it was a process, was it not?
Yeah, that goes with anything like competition. Like, yes, you can't just always just think about the win. It's more so about like enjoying the process, learning the process, learning when you lose. Don't just get mad when you lose, and just having a good mentality about the whole thing. And yeah, in esports, 100%. A lot of these younger players are just like they're just trying to step on each other. They're just trying to
Yeah.
prove they're the best. They're just trying to make it to the top, but they don't understand when you get to the top, you're never gonna maintain it if you don't have the right regiment, the right practice, the right mentality towards yourself and towards your teammates and towards your opponents. It's not always just talk shit to your opponents.
Yeah.
They're your sparring partners. Those are the people you play against. Those are the people that make you get better and they get better at the same time. You can't just like talk shit, say I'm the best, you're garbage. And then when you lose, you bring that same energy towards your teammates that you had towards your opponents. That's a terrible mentality.
It doesn't work. All right, I'm gonna say it because I love him and he knows this was a mistake. Oh, I didn't hear it coming from his mouth, but like in Mexico, for instance, music, he bragged about how well he did and not about how well the team did. And even though he knows it's wrong now, it's like the one thing people have to realize in this road of Gears of War, and Colin, you've been watching since the beginning of Gears 4, especially his talent, so you see things differently than other people, man. Is that I get DMs all the time for people saying, "How do I come up? How do I do so good in scrims? I. It's not about you if you want to make it to the top. You're gonna have to learn team building, man. You gotta learn to not just play good for yourself, but also help your teammates play better because you're never gonna make it to the top on your own. You never are. Like you need an entire team to do it.
Hey, I want to know if we're on the same
piggyback.
page.
Let me piggyback on that point
Go
real
ahead,
quick.
go ahead.
Think about it being you're never going to get to the top. And a best example, later tonight, we're going to talk about this a lot more in depth. On map number 3 to beat OpTic Gaming, Drix did not have the best game, but you know what happened? They still beat OpTic Gaming in that map number 3. So if you still do your job and you play your game and you just work with the confines of your team,
Yeah,
all 5 of those components can make a beautiful machine work, baby. You got to just stop worrying about one and worry about the whole product.
exactly, Jordan. What are you about to say?
No, I was just on the subject of like these teams and the bad mentality. What team do you think in Gears is suffering the most, or could learn the most in this subject?
Oh,
Because
easy,
obviously, because
easy.
Rise is not Rise. Because for the most part, Rise Drix will have that bad map. They still trust him. They're not going to shit on him. They talk their shit, but for the most part, they're learning. They're growing. I have more faith in Rise than I did earlier this season. You know. Well, what team
So
would you think it would be?
what team would I think it'll be? I would have to say is the team that Demo Hudson's and Speedy played on over the weekend.
One of those players is already gone. Kraz is re-retired for year 5.
It's hard to talk about a roster like that because that roster is not going to stick. I'm talking about like a roster that might actually stick.
Anybody outside?
I was thinking Hive. Yes,
Hive. No, Hive definitely.
Got to be Hive.
And actually, Tony, you go ahead and highlight the next subject. Oh, no, never mind, because we're still talking about free agency. No, Hive is perfect. Hive is a perfect example. Like, even though we saw Tony get replaced, and we talked about it in the chat, Jordan, there's people in the chat saying, hey, you should drop pro seed and this and that. You know, it's easy to call out players when they don't do bad and try to up yourself, whether you're just a spectator or, you know, if you're saying it yourself. Like, if someone's talking bad about my teammate, I'm terrible to let that go on. I feel like there has to be unity with these teams because that's how you obviously grow. But people were in the chat saying proceed needs to be dropped. And I fought against it. Me, Fatal Strike and I, we fought against it. Even Ribs fought against it. And we started talking about how, like, you know, once Toady left, the team wasn't the same. And it just comes with growth. You know, you input Zerp. You know, Zerp's obviously a bigger name. The team fails. But then you bring in Noe. And you guys have the same mentality, the same type of chemistry. You know, you have great chemistry. And the same type of view on what it takes to make the team successful. It's really a team game, and it's not anything individual like that at all. Did I answer your question, or did I just ramble?
No, we all agreed. We all agreed that Hive, if there's any team that we could expect to be together in Boston, that could learn from like having a better mentality and like, you know, not shitting on each other and not acting like you're the best players in the world, it's probably Hive. They are some of the best players in the world, but there's still so much that they could learn. They're still so young. Some of this stuff you don't learn without experience, but it's like you have people teaching you, have people like ourselves trying to teach you should listen.
You know what it is? It's like when you're younger and your grandparents tell you something about school or just life lessons. And you sit there and you say, and Jordan, you know this, you sit there and you say, oh yeah, whatever.
You don't want to hear it.
Grow up, you don't want to hear it. And then when you grow up, you're like, damn, I wish I listened to that. I wish I listened.
Hey, Bell, my grandmama used to always hit me with this one. When you get to my age, we'll talk about it. She'd give me the advice and tell me when I get to her age, we'll talk about it. I said, oh shit.
And it's so true. Right. But talk about free agency because we're going to talk about Hive a lot in the next subject. Reaper, shut up, man. Jordan's
I'm just going to post the emote.
Right.
I'm always ready, bro.
But speaking of free agency, there's one name that really popped out to me. You probably know more about this than I do, Ribs. One player that I'm shocked to see outside of a solid team, Toy Soldier.
Yeah, I was playing. All right, so I was in Toy Soldier's chat the other day. I was just hanging out. He was playing Gears. Didn't really have many viewers, and then I ended up playing with Praise later that day on Apex. And Praise is like, "Yo, what's up with Jamie? Like, well, you know, I don't think he's a free agent, but he's playing with players right now. Raiden, Accelerate.
Players that you don't think he would go to a tournament with.
Right. It's like the people he's surrounding himself now compared to a year ago, 2 years ago, it just doesn't really add up. But I think that's a combination of things, and I think for him, he just needs to just keep playing, and then when Gears 5 comes around, maybe he'll have better opportunities. Praise is like, I don't want to play with players like that. If I had to play with players like that, and this is no shots, the Praise said I would quit, and I'm like, bruh, but obviously you're not in the situation he's in.
That roster right now, by the way, is Raiden, Xantic, Exceedings, and Wings of 7.
Okay, thank you.
Wingos. Wait. What was the Wings name? That was Wingos? Shout out to Wingos.
Jay Wingos, Jeremy King, Jay Wingos. Is that actually Jay Wingos? Why does it
Wingos?
It is Wingos. Yeah, I think it is Wingos.
Why is his Twitter handle some off the wall Wings? Is that what the hell? Boy,
listen, man. Wait. He's around your way, Colin. So watch what you say. He's around your way.
He can show up all he wants. I'll just stand and be like, boy, you better change the damn Twitter handle. I'm just saying.
But yeah, Silk in the chat is right. It's not about who he's surrounding himself with. It's the players that are willing to play with him right now, and he's not getting offers from, Kenny and God Plays. He's not getting offers from Simplicity, and that's just how it is sometimes. Sometimes your stock as a player goes down. Sometimes
like in Columbus, he was in Simplicity, and he was he showed out. Next event, he's what? He played with fire and save matches. It was it wasn't in control, was it?
Like that's how it is in esports, though. You got to know anyone is replaceable.
There was a cliff right there.
Everyone is replaceable.
It's a very volatile place to be in esports, especially as a pro player. You're always under the limelight, and then there's someone's hearsay, and players are saying Toy Soldier's this, Toy Soldier's that, he's washed, blah blah blah, his communication, blah blah blah, And I know Toy, if I'm him, I'm like, I'm still one of the best players in the world, but how do I prove it? You just got to keep grinding, and then sooner or later the opportunity will come. I don't think he's past his prime, but some of these pro players right now that aren't giving him the opportunity to play, they think that he's not the player that he was before.
You're right, and it's dangerous because in narrative, for toy soldiers, that he's not the Gears 3 toy, which I would highly disagree with, because
People told me that all the time about myself.
Right, I still think it's crazy, and it's the narrative, and that's why everybody in the chat, you really have to pay attention to this, because if you slack off, there could be it could be me, it could be anybody at a desk or a pro player. They would say, "This isn't Gears 3 toy," and then that will echo and that will stick with you.
Yep.
For instance, take a look at the team I was talking about earlier with Hudson's and the retired Kraz. Take a look at Demo and Speedy, the perfect examples of what we're speaking of. Demo got bad rep, and he can't find another home. Speedy got replaced from Reciprocity, and there was a lot of baggage that came with that in terms of what he was bringing with him with this attitude.
Yeah, no one's willing to play with Speedy.
No one wants to play with Speedy. No, nobody.
Not no one, but like the somewhat relevant top players, the elite players, none of them are giving him the opportunity. Even he was supposed to be subbing in for Rise instead of Keem. Remember when Powers couldn't go to Mexico? Rise chose not to play with Speedy.
That took 2K to not happen.
He chose not to play with Speedy. And like Speedy, on paper, he's a perfect fit to sub in for Powers, right? He could slay out, he could power, he could get the kills. You could use power weapons. Yeah. Rise was like, no, we'd rather play with Keem because we don't like the vibes.
So one thing I want to preach to you guys in the chat is never just about your gameplay. You guys are going to learn once you get higher up there. It's all about your attitude and how you talk to people as well. So, for instance, one player like Terror might get lucky after an event. Terror can walk around saying, I carried my team, and someone might pick him up because of that. But if someone else does that, yeah, that actually happened. I was there. But if that actually happens to another person, there's a huge chance that you're not going to fall under that same category as Terror. You're going to be banished from the circle that you want to be in. People are going to say, listen, man, it's the LeBron effect. Do we want to be a part of that? If we lose, we're going to get the blame. You don't want to be that guy.
A lot of times it ain't what you say, but it's how you say it. If you tell me to go to hell in the nicest way possible, I might just consider it for a few moments. I might think about it. But look, you got to remember that. It's not what you say all the time. It's how you say it. You might have tell somebody they're not doing so hot, but, say it put a little spin on it. Put a little perfume on that pile of trash, maybe make it smell better.
Right. Just before we go to the next topic, I just want to touch on this. Someone says we need roster locks. Gears is one of the few esports where we have this team change problem. And you know what? Rather than getting punished with roster locks, you guys are currently being punished by orgs leaving you. So I'm just going to leave that out there. Be smart about team changes. And remember, the grass isn't always greener, because last Roster Mania made almost every team except one worse. So just keep that in mind. But anything else you guys want to leave out on free agency at all before we move on?
I just talking about Speedy, talking about Toy. It's just so important how you handle yourself and how you speak to your teammates now, because in the future they might be the same people that's talking bad about you, or they could be the person that's talking good about you. A lot of the teams I ended up on in Gears 4 was because of ex-teammates saying, I like Ribs. I think he could learn. I think we could grow with Ribs. They're not thinking about, a year and a half ago he was on swords the whole map and he couldn't get a kill. No, they're not talking about that. That's what TwitchShot talks about right now. But what they are talking about when they're thinking about making a roster and picking up these players is how you carry yourself, how you speak to your teammates, how you take a loss, how you learn from a loss. It's not always going to be pretty, but you got to always carry yourself in a certain way, even when the camera's not on you. When the camera's on you, that's a whole different story. When you're trying to be a professional gamer, you got to carry yourself, especially during that time. You got to carry yourself very well.
That's why I bring you on the show so much, because you always hit the nail on the head. Last thing I want to say before we move on, take a look at Demo. Demo's last map, playing for survival on main stage with Reciprocity, Demo played lights out. Demo was probably one of the most exciting players to ever watch on Sunday. And Demo and that team is no more. And when people talk about Demo, they don't talk about that last map on main stage. They don't talk about his main stage performance.
We're talking about Mexico?
I'm talking about Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, Mexico. He went off on Harvard. He had a
he was
kill,
disgusting.
and then a headshot, and then another kill, and then a headshot. He went like I think 4 or 5 in a row where he literally went from Nasher to long shot, made a highlight reel play out of himself. Nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about season 1 making all those team changes, being a kind of a toxic captain, leaving his stream on one too many times. You know what I'm saying? So it really is. It's like Jordan said. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you present yourself. It's the product that you put out there. And sometimes that product gets damaged a little bit, and you gotta pretty it back up. I think he's still on that road to redemption. Something that I would love to say about it is I think that he and Speedy are the exact and Toy especially are the exact opposite of what a lot of these players end up doing. You can tell that they really love this, because if you really love something, you're willing to actually suffer for it and persevere through it. If you're going to suffer for it, persevere through it, you're going to come out on the other side of success, because the opposite of pain a lot of times is success. That's the feel of it. And you got to figure that out early on, because a lot of these guys, they're not willing to persevere. They're not willing to suffer through it. They don't love it enough, and they go ahead and quit.
Oh, your mic cut out, Colin. Your mic cut out.
Colin. Sometimes your mic cuts out.
Okay.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for it to happen, dog. I'm just throwing it out.
Wait. I feel stupid. I was looking at the actual stream, which was ahead of you. But you're good. We got the point.
But I still need to go back to what I just said about how you carry yourself, especially like behind closed doors, because you're bringing up how great Demo played, and this is what we saw from the outside looking in. This is from gameplay. But from the little bit of knowledge that I do know, a lot of his teammates from that team, the Reciprocity team, Soto, Sam, and Kenny, they're playing in the finals on Wednesday, right? So that's speaking of that roster, they don't want to play with Demo anymore. Why? There's stuff that just goes on behind the scenes that Twitch chat and that commentators and that analysts like myself, we don't get to see. They didn't like his communication. They didn't like how he made decisions. Regardless of what we saw, the plays he was making, the stats that he put up, there's still so much more that goes on these teams, on these rosters, that a lot of people will never know. And that's why Twitch chat always says drop this person, drop that person. They really have no basis behind why they say stuff like that.
It's so funny you say that about Twitch chat. The one thing that I was told from Ben, from Momo, from Farouk, and everybody else, they said, you know what? Always ignore Twitch chat. You never look at Twitch chat for anything. And Almighty Brian, he's a perfect example. It's funny because in Rainbow Six Siege, a game that's one of, I'll say, top 3 shooter in esports, I'm praised. I'm a celebrity over there. But then you go to Gears 1, I have people like Brian that hate on me. But am I going to let someone like Brian really affect who I am? No, because, at the end of the day, you have to know who you are and keep grinding to be the better person. Demo gets a lot of hate along with Speedy, but what they're going to have to do, they're just going to have to overcome that and really create their own stories. Because at the end of the day, those people really don't have an effect on them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's pretty much it. But what does Hive... Ribs, what does Hive need? Colin, what does Hive need?
Somebody a lot older than them that knows how to teach maturity.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That's how I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say that as a negative on them as human beings. I'm saying in game and the way that they carry themselves throughout their scrims, throughout 2Ks, the way that they play it online versus how I hope I get to see them play on LAN, but I'm not even sure if all 5 of them are going to show up, because one of them I think might be the first time showing up, so we're not sure.
No, don't put that in the universe, Colin.
Look, dog. Look.
Don't
I got to speak the truth out here. You brought me in to talk truth, and that's all I know how to spit is truth. I don't know how.
So what's the one thing they need? What's the one thing they need?
Somebody they can teach maturity, little maturity, Ribs, little maturity.
Yeah. How do you get maturity though? Like
little veteran leadership, maybe.
I think they just need to.
They've done that.
It's tough, man.
Jordan knows what I'm gonna say.
I don't know. I was watching M-Force yesterday when they lost to Kenny and God Plays in them, right?
Yes.
And Kenny, God Plays, Sam, Soto, and who am I forgetting?
Kenny, God Plays, Sam, Soto, Vital, and Toady.
Toady,
Hive member Toady.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's perfect, right? Hive member Toady, right? And you could hear, and I had to talk to Handles today privately, and I was like, and I talked to Zovios, and I brought up N-Force. Like, you guys just need to check your ego a bit. Like, you guys shouldn't be and I'm hearing Handles talking crazy in the middle of the match. Yeah. It's like 1 or 2 round difference, and we're about to lose to Toady. Like, bro, like, you can't be saying stuff like that. Like, yes, you might lose, but you're also about to lose to Kenny. You're also about to lose to Soto and Sam, who have been to more lands than you'll ever be to. Like, you guys have to check your ego. Stay humble. You guys are so young. There's so much you need to learn. Stop acting like you're entitled to beat these teams just because who you've beaten in the past and who says you're as good as you are. And I play all the time with OpTic. Like, I don't care, bro. There's still so
Doesn't
much.
matter.
There's
Hey,
still
yo,
so
Ribs, do you
much
think
I
you think
need
he
to learn.
said that same thing when they were up 6-2 on Echo Fox way back when, and they ended up choking away 5 in a row, starting with a 3v1 against old Kyle over there on the foundation? I think they
Yeah,
said
and
the same thing.
it's the way they're
That
talking
wasn't a
and their
wake up call.
comms. Like the
No.
vibes just went to shit. Because they're
Wait,
afraid
wait.
to lose to Toady. Like what?
Colin, I'm gonna say something.
Uh-oh.
It just dawned on me. We had this conversation the last time you were on the show. This is Soto's team. Soto, Kenny, Godplays, Tony, and Sam. Who just left their up and coming team to play with them?
A little bit of Braveheart. A little bit of Braveheart.
We're gonna talk about that later on. But I called it. Yeah, but Ribs, you're right, man. They were up, I believe, 3-1 on tiebreaker. They actually were looking prime to actually win that map. But the one thing I feel like Hive definitely needs is a veteran coach. They don't need a veteran player. Get that out. I love this team. I love this roster. This 5 is perfect. They should stick together until Gears 5. I feel like if you are an org and you're signing Hive, you need to throw a bunch of money at somebody like Ribs. You need to throw a bunch of money at a veteran player. Because they need that player to just. I feel like they need a Fatal Strike or an Ashes type of coach. Just somebody that really puts them in their place, lets them know, listen, be quiet. That round is over and let's move on. Because what Ribs and I saw the whole time was them arguing literally for 3 rounds straight, Colin.
The problem you're gonna have with that though is you're gonna have to find somebody that is able to either and God forbid, don't take this the wrong way, Ribs. I don't ever want to see you coaching. I just want to see you keep winning rings. That's all I really want out of you is to keep winning rings and showing everybody you still got it. But if they had somebody like a Ribs, I think he as a coach could work simply because they'd have to respect the resume. You couldn't just find somebody to put in there playing plug. I don't know if even though Ashes has won as many championships as he hasn't won one as a player, so I don't know if those young cats would listen to somebody.
They won't respect them. No.
I don't even think they listen to me. They don't care about my accolades. They
They
care about how easy or hard it is to chunk me, whether online, not even on land, because I haven't even played against these kids on land.
They weren't even they weren't even 10 years old when Ribs was winning championships back.
They were still wet behind the ears, smelling like Similac when Ribs was putting his first world championship on his resume. You know what I'm saying?
We can say the same thing about Mental and Explosive back in Gears 2, Gears 3. Before they even knew what a reaction shot was, I was doing it on land. That's aside from the point. A team like this, they just need time. I hope they never break up because honestly, I do have a lot of faith in a team like this to win a championship in Gears 5 and do very, very well in Boston. Probably not win in Boston, but do they stay together? Do they learn together, or do they just implode and top 3 players on the team decide that they need 2 better players? Like, stay together and learn together. And you guys
honestly think, and this might be a little like Freudian of you to have to look into it and kind of be a psychiatrist, but do you think that's one of the reasons that Toady ended up not being on that team anymore, because he always was a little bit more of the mature one? He always tried to put a little bit more emphasis on let's do the right things.
Who?
Toady, when he was still with Hive way back when, do you think he was always a little bit one of the ones that tried to slow things down and play a little bit more correctly and be a little bit more of that mature voice? He was always I don't want to say the father figure, but do you think that might be one of the reasons why?
No, I still see they still have that. Like, they still have that in Enforce. I love Enforce's mentality. I love Demise's mentality. Zovios is very young and mature, but I don't feel like he's very toxic at all. I still feel like Jeff needs to step up and gain some confidence because he's probably seeing the Twitch chat saying he's the weakest link, and he hears his teammates talking down to him here and there. And then Handles, I'll bring up Handles again. I think Handles is one of the best up-and-coming players, but right now, there's like a thin line. Like there's a thin line between hyping your teammates up and talking about we can't lose to these kids. I'm not losing this. And then there's another, and then you cross the line and it becomes like negativity, toxicity, where now all of a sudden you sound condescending when you haven't, in the grand scheme of things, you haven't done anything. There's no players in all of the Gears of War scene right now that should have an ego outside of the OpTic Core 3. Even Praise and Solar shouldn't have an ego. I don't think they should have an ego either. None of them should have an ego, but sure enough, there's probably like 10, 15 kids right now in the pro players that I could say have an ego they don't deserve. And if I'm talking to you, Handles, right now, there's more. There's not just you, bro. I'm not just singling you out. Check your ego. Just be more humble until you're actually at the top.
I'm gonna agree. I actually think Hive they need a veteran head coach fast. They got 6th place and they still replaced Toady. I don't think that that type of attitude would change so fast. Because we all saw their disappointment in Ohio, the disappointment in the 2K. Who's to say if they have a disappointing, map in Boston that type of stuff won't happen again? Like this is the last event. You're gonna have to make sure it counts. You need a coach that will stop those type of arguments because they tried to say yo, let's chill, and then the arguments continued to happen 3 rounds later. So I really feel like Hive is pretty much a necessity more than anything right now to get a veteran head coach. The roster doesn't need to change, but I'm scared that roster won't last long. Even if it lasts until Boston, that's going to be it.
Yeah, that would suck. I'd really be pissed off, and I'll tell them right to their face. I say that all the time. Like when I see roster changes that are dumb, I've been a part of those dumb roster changes. Like it very rarely works out. OpTic's the only team that makes roster changes and wins after. Once again, that's because of their core three.
Yeah.
Every other team, for the most part, they make a roster change. It doesn't pan out right away.
Yo,
Even when Dennis and I joined Ghost, we got third place first event. We didn't immediately go to second. We stuck together, got second, and then we got first. We stuck together.
You're right.
Think about this, Velly. You talk about what they need, and you talk about having that player, having a little bit more maturity, getting somebody veteran in there. And then you talk about the disappointment after Columbus. They damn near made Zerpton quit the freaking game. Think about how disappointing and depressing it had to be on that situation for somebody like Zerp, who came out of the
talented,
learned how to be a pro, and then continuously put on for everybody. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he plays with the four of them, goes, "Damn, I don't know if I can do it. Damn, I don't know if I can do it."
It's stressful, man. So like I said, a lot of maturity has to be taught throughout the entirety of Gears of War. I feel like it correlates, man. Gears of War is a game where you can easily kill somebody sometimes because shotgun is so strong. And I feel like with that type of mindset, everyone can feel like they can kill anybody, and you just feel like you're better than most people that time. You go against OpTic and you kill a few players, and you feel like you're on top of the world. And I feel like that type of ego definitely feeds into you, and people they're gonna have to get checked because if you're not on OpTic, you haven't made it yet. I mean, take a look at Reciprocity; they're not even in the finals of the 2K, and that's definitely hits them hard. And if it hits a team like that hard, then it should hit you even harder when stuff like that tiebreaker round happened to you when you went against Wukong boys. But that's pretty much what I need to say to Hive. I feel like a veteran coach fixes everything. And other than that, they're in good shape, man.
It's either a veteran coach or they just stick it out and they learn through experience. They learn through failure. They learn through loss, and hopefully they listen to when people try to spit facts to them.
True. And shout out to Noe, man. That kid really stepped in and really brought the old school Hive back. And that actually makes me extremely happy. But I want to talk about some exciting real quick. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to the Donkey of the Day, Braveheart. It just dawned on me that you left your up-and-coming team to go play with a pro player, and your reasoning was that they're great on land, and that your teammates didn't have land experience. Well, newsflash. Like Riv said at the beginning of this talk show, everybody is replaceable. You got replaced. Your teammates might be upset with you, but you know what's never going to be the same? You could join that team, but the chemistry will never be on point again because it's going to be hard to trust players like that. And I want that to be known for the entirety of the chat. I'm not calling out Braveheart to
What did he do again? He left what team?
So
he left an amateur team. He left Treyway to play with Kenny and them.
Oh.
He left Treyway to play with Soto and then got replaced.
He only played. Yeah, what did he only play like one day with them? 1 day of scrims.
Two 2Ks.
No. He played with Kenny and he only scrimmed with Kenny and them, right? He never played.
No, he was with Soto.
He played a 2K.
Yeah.
He played a 2K, and the last map he ever played the last two maps he ever played in that 2K was against OpTic Gaming, where he got unbelievably tortured on B Street by Explosive. And then I put out an APB on him, but I ain't seen him since.
Kenny's in the chat. He said he stopped playing. He didn't get replaced by
he quit.
Even worse.
No.
Even worse.
All right, but we don't know all the facts. It might be a person.
Okay, I jumped the horse just a little bit too fast.
Because I like Braveheart as a player. I mean, I haven't been paying attention enough of like a lot of the shuffle.
That sucks.
Okay,
he quit the game because he doesn't love Gears. Oh, my heart, man.
Ribs, let me throw it to you this way. I might not have all.
Gears 4 is hard to fucking love, all right?
That came out to the left.
Game is so hard online, bro. It's so hard to play online.
I need to say this because you said we don't have all the facts. But at the end of the day, we got to do a little detective work. If he leaves an amateur team and says, you know what, damn it, I'm getting to play with pros, god damn it, and I'm going to pound my chest and say, I'm making it, I'm going up in the world. And then he goes to those pros, plays in a 2K, gets tortured by the best team in the world, and then isn't to be seen again after that. I might not have all the facts, but I got enough to make an educated guess on why he just doesn't love Gears anymore. All right, there's a big difference between not knowing all the facts and being able to put some puzzle pieces together, find out why he probably left.
I got you, Braveheart. In Gears 5, you'll be chunking people. I'm sure you'll be good.
He will.
We pray. We pray.
There's a time and place. Sometimes it's not the right time. Maybe just Boston, it's not the right event for him. You know, Gears 5, believe me, there'll be plenty of time for players like him to shine. If he does love the game.
Angel Lively, Velly with the speculation, then wonder why he's disliked. Literally, I could count the people that dislike me on one hand. And for every 5 people that dislike me, there's literally hundreds that love me, okay? So you can take that shit somewhere else. But let's talk about the next topic, Rise versus OpTic Gaming. Colin, you watched this game. I watched this game. I'm gonna come out the bat and say it. When it comes to winning an event and a team being more than likely to beat OpTic in head-to-head matchups, yo, Rise gets my vote. Even before Powers came along, which team was actually beating OpTic Gaming like that? Whether it's pool player 2Ks. They actually match up extremely well against them.
It's more than just matchups. They actually do the hard work. They do the dirty work, and the best thing is they let the 3 superstars be superstars, and then Jerp and Drix will fill in and make plays where they have to, and people are listening to each other. If you listen to the comms last night, there were so many times where Drix would make a call. He'd go, listen, and everybody would just get quiet. They would just, on a dime, everybody like a church mouse, and then heads up, listen to Drix, make the correct play, make the correct call out. They end up winning lift on round 13, and the last thing you hear them say is, we're round 13 gods. We go to round 13, we ain't losing. You heard them say it. They go to diner. Chef Billy goes into his kitchen, gets a 24-16 game, does the damn thing. They end up dropping Diner 7-3, but they continue to play. Even the rounds that they're losing, they're still losing rounds on Diner. They're losing in the worst place possible, never getting down, never getting toxic, never getting on each other, always continuing to pick each other up. Let's do the correct thing. Let's do the right thing. Let's make sure that we can continue moving forward. And then they go to Old Town, a map which they sat in front of me in Mexico City, and I asked them, you got one map for your life. Whether you go to heaven or hell, gun to your head, you got to pick one. What map are we going to? And boys all smiled. They all said Old Town. They all loved their chances on Old Town.
Colin, who's the best on B Street?
Backstreet, you mean?
I mean, Backstreet.
Look, right now, I do not, under any circumstance. I'd rather run into the devil himself than run into my main man, Powers and Detox, or Powers and Avexies. However they want to put that twosome over there. They have gruesome twosome over there. Because they've been running that 2-1-2 split, trying to make that map as hard as it can be, especially on that second half. Drix, my man, holding it down in the middle market area. He might have gotten a little bit of that work from Mental round after round, but he kept making the correct calls. He goes, look, I'm going to delay him. I might get up 80, or I might get up 8 right here, but I'm going to delay him long enough for you to make that push over there on that clock tower, or I'm going to get those Lancer shots in, make it real easy for you to kind of rotate out. Jerpy doing his damn thing like nobody doing it better right now, getting kill after kill on the clock tower side. He played that pillar game like it was a just pure waltz. He was dancing all over the damn ballroom. But my favorite play of the entire night, without a doubt, between Rise and OpTic Gaming, there was a call out on round, let me make sure I have the round. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It was round 10. The last round to make it 6-5, or make it 6-4. So Rise only needed to make one more round happen for him. Drix goes into the middle market and says, I'm going to play Ring Around the Rosie with him. Right. He literally ran away for about 15-20 seconds. Just long enough for everybody else on OpTic Gaming to die. For everyone to die. And then it was a 4v1, and Mental still playing Ring Around the Rosie, pocket full of post, ashes, and they lost the round. It was unbelievable to watch my main man Drix say, I'm going to play Ring Around the Rosie with him. It was amazing. I wish to God, I wish I had superpowers like that man, because he called his shot and he made it. He was like Babe Ruth. He said, I'm hitting a home run, but instead of a home run, it was, I'm going to live long enough to make this shit work.
Yo,
That's good, man. Not many players in Gears will be able to do something like that. They're
yo.
too I don't want to say the word again, but egotistical. They have to win the 1v1. No, sometimes you're playing against one of the best players in the game. You have faith in your team. Your job isn't to kill your opponent. Your job is just to make sure your opponent doesn't kill you and go off. Just stall. Just be a team player. That's why Rise is so good. They know their roles. They trust each other. And they're not all trying to play outside of their role. They're staying in their lane and they're doing what they do best. And that comes with chemistry and trust because they've stood together for so long.
It's so scary. They went to an event with one of their best slayers like sitting out for their coach King. They get top 8, but they didn't front it. They didn't care because they all knew that come next event coming in Boston that they're gonna get powers back and the squad is back together. And watching this team grow is funny. I was making my casting reel and I saw a clip where Ben is asking me to break down Rise Nation. And I say, like vividly in the clip, I remember I say, Rise Nation is the top 3 team. But they didn't flip that switch yet. We haven't seen the best from everybody. Only one person gets on fire at a time. And it's almost time to really hype up Jerp. I don't think Jerp gets enough credit that he deserves because when Jerp goes against top teams, Jerp is literally a god. And it is not just mechanically, it's just how smart he plays. And he wins so many 1v1s. We all think of Jerp as this amazing support player, but no one really is digging into how much of just a threat, a 1v1 threat that Jerp even is. Like when it comes to shotgun and everything else, it's scary.
I say we leave Jerpy alone. Like leave him alone, man. We don't need to gas up Jerpy.
Leave it alone. We don't want to jinx it. No,
Juju. He's one of those. We don't
Drix is a great support player. Let's start there then. All right?
Let Jerpy do his thing. But you're 100% right. He plays the game correctly. He doesn't get enough praise because he doesn't do the extra stuff. But he keeps his head down. He doesn't talk extra. He doesn't talk crazy. He just does his thing. And his teammates know. I'm sure his teammates know how good he is. That's all that matters.
So, it might be automatic, but you better tell me real quick. When's the last time somebody had 30 kills and 18 downs against OpTic? Just tell me.
Yeah, and the Detox had 39.
It was unbelievable.
That's the key.
100 damn kills and I think 40 or 50 downs.
Colin, that's the key to this team, though. Like, if Detox can hit that level against these better teams, Rise Nation are going to find themselves in another championship game.
49 downs. Excuse me. 49 downs
that's
across
insane.
The 3 of them along with 100 kills.
That's insane. Like, I feel like, Jordan, dude, I sound stupid when I say I like Rise Nation's chances of beating OpTic in the finals than Reciprocity.
Yeah. No, you don't sound stupid at all.
I was about to say, I was like, damn, Jordan.
No, you don't sound stupid.
Like, a lot of people would say, like Reciprocity is close enough to being the best team in the game, but on the flip side, Reciprocity is still vulnerable against these other teams stepping up. Rise Nation, when it comes to playing against OpTic, they're one team that I could sit there and be like, okay, Old Town is going to be a W. OpTic's gonna obviously win their favorite map, and it's gonna come down to this tiebreaker game, and it's gonna be hell.
It's Rise. It's definitely Rise and Wreck right now. Definitely shout outs Ghost Gaming, Latin American Kings right now. But I think if there's any teams that have as much trust in each other, trust in the process, trust in the formula, their coach, like everyone, it's definitely Reciprocity, Rise, OpTic. Undoubtedly, they always say we have the best 5 players in the game. They actually believe that.
I don't believe it.
Rise and Reciprocity, they're getting to that point where they're like, all right, no matter how bad one of our players are doing, we still trust them to, it doesn't matter. Like, it's a team game. We're gonna win as a team or lose as a team. And all these other teams that we're not mentioning, they could learn from that.
Real quick, Velly, I'm gonna ask Ribs a question as an analyst and a former pro. I need to know. I really would like to know. Do you think it's more Rise being so good at the other 2 positions on the map that OpTic couldn't really change anything, or do you think it was OpTic being bad, that they never rotated Billy somewhere else? Because even though Billy might have been, winning the fights against Drix might have been able to prolong it, but he consistently won those middle market area fights. They still were losing Bell Tower and Backstreet consistently. Do you think that falls more on OpTic to not make that kind of adjustment mid game?
Yeah, I was in OpTic's comms because Summons was streaming. He had voices on. And from the little bit that we saw from Summons, he was fighting against Drix, and then he was going to that Bell Tower fight afterwards. And I don't know, they were definitely just kind of hard-headed in the fact that, like, yes, we're losing it, but let's just fix it. There's no need to run some crazy trick strap. That's never really been OpTic. They run their strategy, they run what they practice, and if it's not working in the game, they just try to fix the little things. And it was still a close match. They still could have won it out.
I feel like Colin has a point, though, man. Honestly, think about every team out there. Rise Nation is actually better at most of the passive positions than most teams actually are.
Yeah,
I
they
would
have
say,
defensive players though. Not
dude,
a lot of these rosters are just made up of five of some of the best players, shotgun heavy players. But then you have players that know how to play defensive like Drix and Jerpy. But then they're also doing aggressive stuff too. You need those all around players. Those are the glue players. Not every roster has that.
it actually makes sense. Like you take a look at Forge Blitz, everybody wants to win the tower fight and also in the middle, but they're forgetting, the whole incinerator part of the map where you have
Yeah.
Drix and the players running around. That's scary as shit, man. That actually never like dawned on me, Colin. Like Rise Nation, they're so much better at other part of maps that other people aren't trying to be the best at.
Well, what they do, and I think as you watch them, if you really break down their footage a lot, if you watch them a lot, if you try to look at how they play maps, they are one of the best teams at mid-round adjustments. There's teams that are unbelievably great in the early game, and there's teams that are really great in the late game. Like OpTic is unbelievable at wiping you off the face of the map at 206, getting all the breaks, triple capping. Congratulations, they did it again because of how good they are at those close range, chaotic fights. Whereas like a team like Reciprocity, really good at those initials, really good at setting up, really good at getting into that position, and then mid game comes and late game comes. Rise is a specialty in my book at mid game decisions. If we lose that initial, what do we have to do to get that advantage back? Whether it be overload one side, whether it be get a Lancer here, get a Lancer there, or whether it be pulling back, saving our resources, making sure they don't triple cap us, and then fighting off that one hill. And I think that is the most underrated and underappreciated part of this game, but it's what Rise does best, and it's why they steal and win so many rounds off of every other team.
You're actually right. Any last words before we move on to Wukong boys and Reciprocity? I can't believe I have to say that on Fight Night, man.
Look, I started calling him Kenny and Company. I'm just gonna call him Kenny.
I'm gonna call him WB. WB. All right, chat. Listen. I've had to say these names on Fight Night. Buddy, Treyway, and now Wukong boys. If you guys want to be taken seriously, come up with a legit team name. Contenders, Fury, Orglis, something, please. Because when Blaze and I have to sit there and look at each other and say, yeah, Wukong boys. Those Wukong boys got it. Like, it's like, come on. Can't take it seriously. But all right, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch this match. I didn't. I was extremely.
I watched all their matches yesterday. They had a crazy hard bracket, and they went in. They started with their first hard match was Hive, and that was
a lot of good teams. Yeah.
Yeah, Hive was the first win. That kind of like I went to Enforce later, and he was in one of the chats. I was like, you allowed this, because then they went on to beat Simplicity, and then they went on to beat Reciprocity, and Reciprocity was Kenny and Kenny's org, Soto and Sam's org, the event before, and now he's taking them out, making it to the finals of a 2K. And as good as Rise looked, I still think that this Kenny Godplay squad could definitely win this 2K on Wednesday. As good as Rise is and as good as Rise looks, this team looks just as good. And in the short amount of time they've had together, Godplays is a new player. I feel like he's grown up a lot. Some of the Hive players could definitely learn. They could learn from Kaid's mentality right now. And Kenny tells me all the time he's changed. He's learning. He still has some of his New Yorker attitude, with that's fine. That's what got praised where he's at. And a lot of these players, man. And then he has Soto and Kenny, and Sam is one of the most underrated players in my opinion. That's a good roster, so I'm gonna hype them up. And I think they should keep it up. If they keep it up like this, they'll be a contender in Boston.
I said it 2 weeks ago, Colin. I keep saying that Godplays is the truth, man.
Hey, look, Bell, you want some stats to be able to hit some people over the head with on Wednesday?
Tell me what Godplays did first.
Real quick. Here's a couple stats for you. 7-1 on Damn, a map that Reciprocity is used to making people look like fools on. They go ahead and 7-1 them on Damn. They said, we'll give you one. We'll give you a charity round. And they're going to give them a charity round en route to having 24 for Toady, 23 for Kenny, 24 for Soto, 23 for Godplays. Each of them with less than 15 deaths at the same time. Almost 2.0 across the board for
Wait, what?
Boys.
No, Kenny didn't have good stats. I remember I was making fun of him because he
was 23 and 18 with I think 14
down. On Damn, he had bad stats and they won 7-1, but it didn't matter because that's how escalation is sometimes. I could be wrong, but I went right to him and I was like,
they had 4 players with 20.
Yes, Kenny wasn't one of them. Toady was the other one.
Kenny have 23 kills.
Kenny's never been good with stats. Kenny's never been good with stats.
I'll go back to the DM programs right now, and I was like, I remember having maps like that myself, where I'm like 4-10, but we just won 7-0 because we're still doing the right things. Not all 5 players are gonna shine on a team. That's not how.
No. Kitty also
Kitty-
said
yeah,
that was against
Kitty-
simplicity.
That was against simplicity. Okay.
Kitty
My fault.
just checked.
My fault.
No.
Okay.
On Dan.
It wasn't against
Dan,
reciprocity. He turned up versus rec. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, Colin had the
Sorry.
right stats. Okay.
Oh,
Alright.
baby. Oh, baby. Anyway,
Colin, keep going, Colin. Keep
as
it
I
coming.
was
Keep it coming.
saying,
That was
it
torture, though.
It was torture them. And then
That was
when
bad.
reciprocity went to the tried and true, let's do our favorite strat. Let's put the boom shot down in pit. I love what Wukong did. They looked at him and said, go on ahead. Get that quick pick. Go ahead and get that quick pick. You know why? Because we got 3 Lancers getting at least 2 downs, and we got a third guy named Godplays getting on the side of you, and he go put his shotgun in the side of somebody's temple, mess up your whole afternoon. So they win that 7-1. They make slight work of map 1. Map number 2, they did something to reciprocity I have never seen anybody except OpTic Gaming do to reciprocity. They go to Diner. They go, all right, this is what we're going to do off the initial. Reciprocity has the right plays. Let's throw a smoke over this counter. Let's get somebody in quick. Let's make sure that we can get our positioning so that we can get them out of kitchen.
Yeah.
You know what Wukong did? Let's challenge him. Let's take the chains off of Godplays. Let's let him bounce around, get these right kills. And then all of a sudden you start hearing Icy go, why has nobody got a mark on Godplays? That's because nobody up long enough to get a mark on Godplays, because Kenny is doing his damn thing. Soto and Vital also doing a damn thing, lancering, getting the correct angles, coming through the windows of Diner. So they say, all right, let's flip the map. Let's go out to Taco Truck. They flip the map to Taco Truck to play a completely different fight. Godplays does the same damn thing. He gets to the back of Taco Truck without getting marked, is there waiting on somebody to chuck him too. He's got a 30 bomb on map number 2, and they take map number 2 7-4. Not as easy.
They 2-0'd him?
They 2-0'd him badly. Out of all of the matches that Wukong played yesterday, reciprocity was the easiest one. Like Hive was very close. Simplicity, they won 7-6 on map 1. They were down like 5-2 or something like that. That was another close game. But when they got to reciprocity, and I was watching Rex stream all day, they had a lot of energy all day. I tweeted out, Fran had a crazy clip where he got like 3 chunks in a row. They ran out of steam. I mean, that's up to Fatal Strike and the rest of them to figure out what went wrong. I would never count that team out.
They ran out of steam and they got toxic.
Icy was
they got toxic too. They got a little nasty.
Icy was the only one who brought the energy. He's the one I think that didn't run out of steam. But from Fran's POV, it looked like he was playing very off compared to how he was earlier that day. And Rushies got very upset. Icy was he was on that thin line of like hyping your team up, but also being toxic, kind of like what are y'all doing right now? And it just looked bad. Whereas I would love to hear, Godplays, and they had to have better comms, just more calm, more more confident in what's going on, because reciprocity didn't sound very good when they were losing.
Do you think that there could have been the factor that they had an old teammate playing against them and they were getting beat pretty bad by him, that could have had an effect?
Maybe against Hive, because I know that Tody got in their head a little bit, but I don't think something like that would happen to that reciprocity roster. They just, like I said, it's up to Fatal. It's make sure they come back stronger next week.
That's rough.
Next time they play, I don't think it would be a 2-0 in either's favor.
We're gonna see 2 things. We're gonna see them not stream this next 2K, because that was the last thing I heard before the stream got turned off. Was we play different when we're on stream. Why would you
do that to
We play different when we're on stream. So that was the last thing I heard before the streams got turned off. So we will not see them stream this next 2K. And 2, we will know if they play different not on stream, because if they lose again to these Wukong boys, that's a lot deeper than just we play different on stream.
So my question
is hard-headed. He's gonna want to stream. I want to stream too, man.
Do you guys think this was a fluke, or do you think that this team is for real, man?
If I'm reciprocity,
I saw them against Hive.
If I'm reciprocity, I'm like, yeah, these Wukong, they're in the honeymoon phase, blah blah blah. But no, I think it's the real deal. I think that team has a good genetic makeup right now, and all they're missing is like a really solid coach to make sure they're all staying focused and make sure they're all held accountable. But like I said, I think if they keep it up, they could definitely
It's almost reminiscent
Well,
of the Rise roster, isn't it? It's kind of like a Rise 2.0 almost. You got two unbelievable support players in Kenny and Soto who can turn it on when need be.
Kenny's front spawn. What do you mean?
No, but look. I'm saying that guy knows how to roll back. He knows how to play defensive. I know in Gears 4, it's the hardest thing in the world to do.
He doesn't play like a front spawn throughout the entirety of the game.
I know it's the hardest thing in the world to do to play defensive in this game, but he's allowed. He can do it. He can help. He can be support. They've got two human highlight reels, and God plays in Vital Sam, and Toadie's out there doing everything. He's a jack of all trades.
He's a glue.
He's a beast.
He's a glue.
That team to me has a great genetic makeup. This fight night's gonna be great. This fight night's gonna be unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it'll be a close match because I like both of these teams right now in the direction they're heading. 100%.
Speaking of fight night, this is gonna be the true test. But with this reciprocity versus WB thing, any cause for concern for reciprocity, or are they gonna be all right?
Toxicity's my only concern.
They'll be fine. Like I said, they're one of the few teams that have the utmost trust in each other. You know, sometimes Rushies and Icies they'll get on each other, but that they'll also learn from it. They'll get real toxic. The next day they'll be best friends, and they have a great team, so they'll be fine.
I'm gonna agree. I kind of learned my lesson on betting against this roster because at the end of the day, this roster they actually. Are you talking to us, Jordan?
No.
Okay, I saw you. I was looking at the stream again. My bad. Yeah. I keep looking at the stream. My bad. Yeah, this reciprocity roster, they told me not to bet against them because I mean, even though they do struggle here and there with great teams, you should never count them out. But for Fight Night predictions, Blaze and I were gonna be there. I didn't get the script yet, so I don't know all the games that are gonna be there. But we're gonna have Wukong boys against Rise Nation. Now on paper and expectations, I know a lot of people are gonna say Rise Nation are gonna win. Yeah. Colin, any chance that you think Wukong boys could turn the fuck up?
I hope you get a big ass meal for lunch on Wednesday. I hope you're getting a snack Wednesday night. I hope you and Blaze fill up because you're going to be there for a while because these two teams are about to wage war on one another. I am thinking this thing is going to go all three maps, and yo might be sitting there for, 39 rounds. You might be sitting there for 39 rounds. These two teams are made up of some of the greatest players that we don't get to see on a weekly basis unless you tune into their stream. These two teams are ready to go head to head for the chance to do something that not a lot of teams get to do in this whole community, which is be a 2K champion. There's still a little pride on the line. There's still a little bit of guts and glory on the line for these two teams. And I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing it going the distance, baby. This is going to be 15 rounds, two heavyweights in the middle of the ring throwing haymakers, waiting for one to drop to a standing 8 count. Cannot wait for Wednesday, baby.
I feel like these teams mirror themselves pretty well. Like you have Toadie and Detox, two players that are generally quiet, but then when they turn up, their presence is felt throughout the entirety of the map. You have Soto out there, Soto and Kitty. Then you look at Drix and Jerp, and it's just like you can kind of relate both of their play styles together. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's funny. Before Fight Night starts, I always walk into the back with the director and Blaze and Cleaner. Shout out to Cleaner. I saw him in the chat earlier, and I always look at him and I say, all right. This game is gonna be a 2-0. This is gonna be a 2-1, yada yada yada. This is one of the first games where I don't know what the hell is about to happen, Ribs. But what do you see going down in this matchup?
Oh,
okay, Kenny. I want to know the maps. I was just gonna say, like, if we see Diner,
y'all want to know the maps, Kenny?
I think Wukong would take Diner hands down. They won so many Diners yesterday. They won Diner versus Hive. That was such a close match. And then you have to say Rise would take a map like Old Town, just like. They beat OpTic map 3, and OpTic was trying, man. That was OpTic trying their hardest. They got a little toxic in the comms too. But did he say
Diner
Forge Lift?
Oh, okay. Diner. I honestly don't have enough information about Rise on Diner, but from what you guys are saying about Diner with Wukong boys, Jesus Christ. Forge Bliss, I'm gonna have to give it to Rise. I don't see a team like legit beating them. I think Forge is one of. I think they're great on Forge.
It might come down to that lift, man. And I know for a fact, like Kenny and Sam, they do some crazy stuff on lift. Sam is always
really
that map, yeah.
Colin, you getting hyped, baby? What's happening?
Oh God! Oh,
God. that could be a really good match. Those are good maps
already.
Sure. Yo, I wish. Yo, Colin, catch a flight up to New York. Me, you, and Blaze can try Cassidy. This is gonna be one of the best games. And you know what? It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. I actually put out a challenge on Fight Night, and I said, I want new teams up for the finals. We got new teams for the finals. Both teams are brand new. Like it's
Gonna
beautiful.
get a new champion this week, man.
I tweeted it as soon as that round ended, where Rise took it. The first words out of my mouth are, "We have a new fight night." I was so unbelievably happy, not because anybody lost, but because we get to see two teams showcase in prime time now. Bright lights, big stage, all eyes on you type deal, baby.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited to see that. The one thing I'm really excited for, okay, so Rise Nation, they earn my respect. I generally believe that they're fucking amazing. But these Wukong boys, I saw them struggle against Hive. If Hive didn't tilt, I wonder how the outcome of that game would have been. But against Rise Nation, I feel like this is going to be a great test to see where this roster is going to stand this early and what their potential is going to be. Like Kenny, we've seen Kenny struggle, and I'm not used to seeing Kenny struggle. Like that's something that we're all not used to seeing, except for when he got replaced from being on Echo Fox. And it's I feel like it's time Kenny really just like his legacy, man. I feel like it's time for him to just like solidify that shit. If Kenny could do this, I feel like it's gonna be next level, man. Especially with the likes of Toady and God plays. That's gonna be it for me. This is gonna be an exciting ass game. Ribs, are you gonna wind up streaming, by the way?
Yeah.
Load up your stream because we're coming to an end. We're pushing an hour right now. Any last words from anything we've spoken about at all?
If you feel pain from loss, if you feel pain from not knowing what direction you should go, pain is only temporary. If you quit, that shit stays with you forever.
And one thing I want to say, I genuinely care about the gear scene. There's it's funny. There was a conversation about like personalities that you see online versus personalities from who the actual person is. For anybody that actually got to genuinely know who I am, I genuinely care about all of you guys. I genuinely do. And wait, we didn't predict winners. You're right. Ribs, who's gonna win that matchup?
God plays.
Colin, who's gonna win that?
Like he said, God plays.
He said God plays. And listen, I love it. I take it.
Fans didn't even say the team.
God play 5. That's my boy.
Yo, Colin, who you got, man?
I'm gonna go Wukong 2-1.
Really?
I don't know what a Wukong is, man. I'd rather say God play. I don't know what Wukong. the monkey king. Kai's the monkey king right now. He's let's go God play.
You can say that. I'm gonna get a shit like that.
You can say that.
I gotta go for WB only because I love upset stories. But what I was saying though, man, I genuinely care about the scene, and if there's any pros watching, the one thing I want to say, man, like all of us, like this lineup you see, me, Ribs, and Colin, plus you guys, plus the pros that are streaming now, we're an ecosystem, man. We're a fucking ecosystem. And for those of you that are too fucking stupid to know what an ecosystem is, like basically we all depend on each other, to live and for growth. And with Gears 4 realistically coming to an end, I want to change the culture in Gears of War, especially Gears 5 and towards the end of Gears 4. I really feel like we need to start supporting each other even more. I told Blaze when he got out of my car, when I dropped him off from Fight Night, I said, yo, I want to help. Let me know when you're doing your next hot seat. Like if I were to host you or just do anything, like I'm willing to do that because I want you to grow. For all of you guys out there that aspire to be a streamer, a pro player, whatever, you put out content. What Ribs is doing now, I'm hosting Ribs after this show. I really feel like the pros and everyone else, we need to really support each other. And what really brings that out of me is Deluxe's tournaments. Deluxe, he runs tournaments for the community and doesn't get a lot of pro support. And I think that's wrong. And I really feel like, imagine a world, Colin, where if the pros retweeted the hell and promoted the hell out of Deluxe's tournaments, or even take the cake. How much bigger?
Little intel for you. We got something
Good.
cooking.
But how much bigger would it be?
A lot bigger. Hell of a lot bigger.
Do you think that Deluxe getting over 1,000 views would like take things to the next level?
It would help. I tell you that damn much.
So this is my challenge to the entire community, man. I challenged new champions on Fight Night. We're gonna get that this Wednesday. I'm gonna challenge you guys to just support each other, man. Like I know Gears of War culture is to be a hard ass and a badass, but at the end of the day, learn to support each other because we all need to fucking grow. We all want the best for us. We have $2 million in prize pool. Gears 5 is coming out. TC is investing a lot of time and effort and money into Gears 5. Let's change the scene. We all want everyone to reach the top. Let's do it together, all right? Ribs, any last words you want to say?
Shout outs to my people, Ghost Gaming. Shout outs to my riblets. I got a couple cooking right now. I want to start playing 2Ks with my boy Chase OP, my boy Toy, and then I got a couple Europeans. I got my boy Notorious from Scotland. He's the second best player in Scotland right now. They just lost the Europeans finals last weekend, but now they got the second seed there, so they should be playing in the finals. You might see them in the 2K finals, as well as my boy Paynes from Italy, my boy Notorious from Scotland. These are my riblets, man. If we ever have sub battles with any of you guys don't want hands with my riblets. None of you guys want hands with us. I got some of the best, man. The best.
Wait, can I call the riblets during fight night?
Yeah, if you want to. I got riblets everywhere, man. You're surprised, bro. Colin, you're a riblet.
I'm a riblet. Damn.
There you go. I'm gonna be a riblet soon, man.
I'm a saucy riblet. I'll tell you that much. You got some good shit on me.
No. Also, one thing I do want to point out for you guys, man. UGC, if you guys don't know why I host On the Flank on UGC, UGC is a fucking network of talk shows full of pros and celebrity gamers and your favorite commentators, man. Colin Trooper.
He's getting a Fortnite show.
He has a Fortnite talk show that comes out on Wednesday.
With my man Throop.
You know what I'm saying? With Throop and Troop. So if you guys can do it, if you don't want to do it for me, at least do it for Colin. Do it for Ribs. Follow this channel. Support the cause. Support your favorite casters. Support your favorite pros and analysts. And keep the love going, man. I want to give a shout out to UGC for believing in us. I really love it. Tony, you're the fucking man. Tony, say hi to the chat real quick. Just put on your voice. Just say what's up. But wait, is that him? Tony. Oh, it doesn't go through. Okay, never mind.
Damn.
Damn it. Almost got it. No. But
wow,
also, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another show of On the Flank. Colin, it wasn't the same without you last weekend. We need to get together to discuss how we could take this to the next level as well.
Yeah, show the pants off again because everybody's questioning it. The full khaki.
You learned your lesson. Lesson, right?
I learned my lesson. All right. Full khaki with the combat boots, baby. Full khaki with the
combat boots.
No, but you guys,
stomp out here, all right?
So make sure you guys tune in to Fight Night. Make this one of the best fight nights we've ever had. Seriously, we have 2 new teams. Show the fuck out. And we'll catch you guys next Monday, man. Tony, go ahead and run that outro. And Ribs, thanks for joining us. Guys, we're going to host Ribs right after this. So support them, be a riblet, and do your thing, all right? Y'all be easy, man.